seconds.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back with the I Am the CEO show. I'm your host, Eric Robinson, and this is my co-host,
James Burrell.
And James, we are now sitting here amongst a great woman. This young lady is an entrepreneur. She's a businesswoman. She's a mother. She's a wife. And she's a recent author. And she's the author of this book right here called Broken Pieces and Rare Pearls. None other than Miss Nikki Townes. Nikki, welcome to our show.
Thank you for having me today.
Oh,
I appreciate that.
We appreciate you being on our show, Nikki. So, Nikki, we like to always start off our show asking, I guess, a question. And it's just, a question just to kind of get a feel, let the audience know who you are and kind of give them some golden tips.
Okay.
So, I would take the question, but it's James, it's one of his favorite questions. So, I'm going to let him ask.
Okay, James.
Okay, thank you for coming today, Nikki.
Thank you for having me.
The question I have for you is, what made you decide to become an entrepreneur?
That's a great question. I began to realize that I was working overtime all the time, and I didn't know how to leave my work at the office. Mm-hmm. So I thought to myself, if I'm going to work like this, I might as well work for myself. Mm-hmm. And I never looked back. And that started off in my 20s.
Okay, that freedom.
Exactly, freedom. And if you're going to express that kind of diligence over work and you start exercising passion and commitment and accountability, you might as well put those tools to work for yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So now, Nikki, I'm going to ask you this question. Now, you said that start off in your 20s. Now, I don't want nobody out there trying to get their calculator. Don't do that, okay? But, so how long have you been an entrepreneur? Because, that's something, we'll find. So how long have you been doing this?
Well, I started off in executive search. So when I was about 22 years old, not dating myself, I worked for an awesome entrepreneur. And he launched me in my career as an executive recruiter. And I was really used as a strategist to help CEOs to develop C-suites. And I was very young when I started. So once I got the hang of it, I started realizing, I could do a lot with this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what is a C-suite for those who don't know?
Sure. C-suite is when a CEO has a business and they need to develop strong team leaders around them. So they need the chief operating officer and the chief financial officer, chief marketing officer. There are a whole bunch of them. You can have up to 12 members of your C-suite. But the important thing is that if you are a business owner, you really need a strong team because a strong team can make you look good or it can sink you, as you know.
Okay.
So I coach CEOs to develop strong leaders around them.
So now, do you currently still coach CEOs?
Absolutely.
So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, if you need your business to get off the ground, Nikki, can we tell them right away, how can people reach you? How would you like to be contacted?
Yes, actually, twofold, because I'm talking about my book, but also professionally, I can be reached on LinkedIn. That's the best way to stay connected with anyone professionally. So it's Nikki Townes on LinkedIn.
Nikki Townes. That's Nikkitownes,
That's
Townes, at LinkedIn. So now, Nikki, let's talk about this book, Broken Pieces and Rare Pearls.
Okay.
What inspired you to write this book?
It's a great question. As a strong businesswoman myself, I started to realize that when we become a boss and we're over other people all the time, the pressures can be so much that we don't feel comfortable allowing our soft spots or our weaknesses to be shown, and oftentimes that causes CEOs to have to step away from what they're doing rather than exposing themselves. So I wrote this book during a season where I was very sick, and I realized during this time when I wasn't sure whether or not I was going to recover, and I started thinking to myself, what do I need to leave behind for my children? So the book is basically a testimonial talking to my audience, people I've mentored over the years, and also my children, just letting them know this is an accountability of my life, a witness, a testimony to my life.
Nikki, do you mind if I make sure our audience sees
Yes,
the book?
of course.
Okay. Make sure you go out and get that book, guys. Broken Pieces, Rare Pearls. Go get
Thank
it.
you.
The name.
Yes.
I got to ask. Where did the name come from?
I love that you're asking me that.
Yeah.
I originally started to name the book Rare Pearls. It's a perfume that I wear because my mother sends it to me every year on my birthday. So my title was actually Rare Pearls, but my dad kept calling me saying, how are you doing on Broken Pieces? I said, Dad, it's called Rare Pearls. Okay. But over time I started realizing that I was being moved to incorporate what he taught me. I was raised by a single father. And Broken Pieces is really about little nuggets of truth that people hand down to you from generation to generation that make you who you are today. So I incorporated the two pieces together and just said, you know what? Life is full of broken pieces, things that are kind of dismantle us. But these broken pieces can actually be turned into rare pearls when you pass them down for someone else to learn from your experience.
Wow. I like that.
Thank you.
Now, James, I got to ask this question. And Nikki, I've been following you on social media and Facebook, and I've been watching you for a while. I noticed me and you are friends in a couple of groups. So we got some social media people, and we're on Facebook Live, of course. So I want to touch on that. We're in some groups, and I asked you a question one time. I noticed you have a way of interacting, and this is entrepreneurs. I want y'all to understand this is a marketing bonus. This is what we want you to watch this show for, to give you some marketing tips. And you have a seasoned entrepreneur here, but I noticed you interact with some people in certain things for certain reasons. Kind of share with us, is there a marketing plan when you're talking on social media? I mean, because some people always want to know, do you just chat and, some people say I'm just wasting time, or do you actually have a strategy behind what you're doing?
Great question, Eric. One of the things that I think is most important, especially when you're dealing with decision makers, is you really want to get them off guard. You want them to become comfortable with you, so that even though you're a professional, you're human.
Okay.
And while you're staying human, you can still keep the conversation somewhat elevated, but also let them know a little bit about you as a person, how you function. I think that when people feel comfortable with you, they migrate to your page. They migrate to your social media. They start getting involved more in who you are as a professional.
Wow. I really like that.
Nikki, when you were drafting the book, what was your goal? What were you trying to achieve with the book?
Yeah. What I really wanted was for people to feel like it's okay to own all of their stuff. It's okay that you're a CEO and yet you've gone through a divorce. It's okay that you're a CEO and you've had, some public disgrace. You really need to learn that if you're going to be a boss, you have to be able to take a gut punch. Okay? And so that was my main objective, is letting you know, listen, I own my stuff. I am everything that I said I am in that book, but I'm so much more. And I wanted to pass that down.
Right. Nikki, you just mentioned that. We're going to touch on that. We're going to take a break in a second, but I want to ask you this question here. How do you overcome that personally as a CEO or a business owner or entrepreneur if you took a gut punch? I mean, how do you maintain that? You know what I mean? Because sometimes people are shy and say, I'm not fit to be in front of somebody. I'm not fit to run this company because I have this personal thing.
Right.
So what would you say to somebody who has that issue, who's trying to overcome that?
I would actually tell you the honest to God truth. I walk with God. I pride myself in having a relationship with God. It's very serious to me. But I also believe that having a walk with God is more than just going to church on Sunday. I study the Bible constantly. I have a nonprofit that I teach people online. That's what you're talking about, the online part. So really, you have to have something that you can keep returning to that will pull you out of that depression. For me, that's God. I return to God. I keep my stuff real with God. I'm honest with myself and I'm honest with God.
Wow. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a commercial break and we're going to come right back, hear more from the author herself, Miss Nikki Townes. Look forward to seeing y'all right then.
Get that book.
Get that book. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back live here on I Am the CEO Show. Once again, I am your host, Eric Robinson, a.k.a. The Soul Motivator, and I'm joined by my co-host, Mr.
James Burrell, a.k.a. The Professor.
And ladies and gentlemen, we are blessed to be in the presence of none other than author, esteemed businesswoman, Miss Nikki Townes, Mrs. Nikki Townes, for those who are listening to that preference, because I want to make sure you're a beautiful, attractive woman, and so don't want to put it out there, but her husband's in the studio. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes. So Nikki, we were just talking about the CEO part of it, and you said you have a nonprofit. Can you kind of tell us a little bit about your nonprofit business as well, and what do you do?
Yes, I can. Actually, I lived in Israel for a little under a year.
Okay.
And I learned while I was there that once I had my feet on the land, the whole experience of walking with God became real to me. When I came back from Israel, I realized, you know what? People need to have something that they can follow, a devotional that they can follow that actually incorporates learning the Torah. So
Okay.
I devised a devotional plan where they learn the Torah. And so my foundation really caters to educating people, strengthening them in biblical skills.
How cool is that? So how can they reach you? So they reach you at through your...
They can actually reach me. It's threefold. Again, professionally, relative to CEO coaching and building C-suites. That's my LinkedIn account. But if you really just want to know me and connect me and kind of have a view of me, it would be Facebook.
Wow. So Facebook, ladies and gentlemen,
Nikki Townes.
NIKKITOWNES, Nikki Townes. So Nikki, let's get back. I mean, you're a dynamite entrepreneur, but I've done a little research on you and found out you also, I know you may not want to touch on it, but you also have entrepreneurial type children as well.
I do.
So what is it like? How did you pass that down, or did they just inquire that on their own?
That's great. Actually, my son came to me. My son is an engineer at Google. He was previously with Apple, and he switched over to Google. I've really instilled in my children that you have to be accountable for your vision. So in order for a dream to become a vision, you have to have somebody who holds your feet to the fire to say, you know what, that sounds like a great idea, but you didn't do this, and this. Okay. I passed that along to my son, and when he got to a place when he was at his company, he wanted more. He was like, can you help me? And so I began coaching him for a year.
Okay.
And worked with his company and helped him to build his own team.
Hold on, stop. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if y'all just heard this. This right here, you just gave them a business tip. You said you began coaching your child to become an entrepreneur?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I coached all three of my children to be entrepreneurs. It's okay to work for someone else, but you always should have your side gig that you're working for yourself. I truly believe that.
Nikki, say that again, because there's a lot of people who just coach their children in sports.
Yes.
And they don't realize you got to coach them in business.
I love that you're saying that, Eric, because I believe that when you coach your children in sports, you are coaching them in business. So it doesn't stop after they're done with the sports. You know, what your son does with sports is going to carry him for the rest of his life. So you've got to start talking to him about what he's going to do with the money he makes.
Oh, I love it. I like
James,
that.
I like that tie into how sports prepare you
Absolutely.
to be an entrepreneur.
You know, it's
I
so
believe
easy
that.
to become a millionaire, right? It really is. It's easy to become a millionaire, but what are you going to do about it? Where are you going to put that money afterwards?
Love it.
So Nikki, if I had to, if you had to kind of get people, they want to know more. I know you told them where you can find you, but to the entrepreneur out there, let's say somebody's trying to get their business up and running. Let's talk to the person who's, I got this idea. What should I do? I mean, I don't know. Should I follow my dream, my passion, or should I just stay in my 9 to 5? When you weighing that decision, do you have to do both, or do you have to choose one or the other, or can you do both?
The first thing, it's interesting. My son would actually think I'm plugging him right now. My son has a company that's called Multi-Dream. And it's literally about what you just said, where you're keeping your 9 to 5, but you're also cultivating a dream. So you're starting a second business. I would advise anyone who's interested in working on their own that they get an accountability partner. That's the single piece of advice that I think is the most important. You have an accountability partner. You have someone who's going to say to you, you said that you wanted this, but I don't see where's your plan. So an accountability partner is the primary thing.
Wow.
With that being said, Nikki, with accountability partner, a lot of times as a CEO,
Yes.
who do you reach out to become your accountability
Excellent. That is why I'm in business, and that's why you guys are in business. I'm in business because CEOs realize that they need that person. I'm actually technically called an HR business strategy partner. So I work with CEOs for them to tell me stuff that they're not willing to tell their team.
Wow. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you got to reach out to Nikki Townes if you don't understand the book Broken Pieces
And rare
pearls. Well, we got to take a commercial break, and so when we come back, we're going to do a recap, and then we also got a dynamite host, a gentleman who's going to piggyback from what you just left off, Nikki. So tune in. You don't want to miss a second of this show. Thank you so much, Nikki, for being a guest on our show.
Thank you. I appreciate.
So glad to have you.
I appreciate both of you
on our inaugural show. I mean, this is our inaugural show, and it's just like it's been amazing just having you here.
It's a great kickoff.
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful kickoff. Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the I Am the CEO show. Once again, I am your host, Eric Robinson, a.k.a. The Soul Motivator, and I'm joined here by my co-host,
Mr. James Burrell, a.k.a. The Professor.
Well, James, you know, we just had a dynamite guest, Miss Nikki Townes, on.
Amazing.
Amazing. And before I open the show, she dropped a lot of nuggets on out there, you know?
Yeah, man. I was really blown away about, first of all, her book is absolutely amazing. Just to have a reference you can go through when you're building your business and you're going through tough times, man, to be able to pick up a book for someone that can relate in a business like you, I'm gonna have to get that book.
Yeah,
man.
Gotta get that book, Broken Pieces and Rare Pearls, ladies and gentlemen. Broken Pieces and Rare Pearls by Nikki Townes, Nikkitownes. You know, also I like the fact when she was talking about her son has, you know, she coached him and he has dual vision. He's talked about,
man.
you can be in business as an employee and an entrepreneur at the same time.
Yeah, we call that a smart job.
We call that a smart job.
Yeah.
We call that a smart job.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, so ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna come back to you. We're gonna take one more commercial break, and then we're gonna bring on a dynamite guest, none other. I'm gonna pause and wait till y'all see who he is. You gotta stay tuned after this commercial to find out this guest. He's gonna blow your mind.